Welcome to the Shifting Realities podcast. I'm your host, Julie Allison, and with me is my co host and friend, Robert Perry.
Hi, Julie.
In today's podcast, we're going to talk about how you can connect with your soul, with your high self, and indeed with your future self. But contrary to what you might think, it's not a specific step by step. There is no step by step. We're going to talk about it in the context of they will have been connecting with you all your life. You may not know it, but it's particularly important at the moment. And so, what we're going to talk about now is how people in general who are, let's say, becoming more awake and more awake and more awake. I feel like they're saying that there's different levels of being awake. The more we get, I'm going to say, activated into the remembrance of who we are. So you will have had your soul, high self, and even your future self helping you along the way. You might feel that you're doing it alone, but you have this team of guides, including all of these. Now, you are part of them. They might feel separated, but you are part of them. I'm going to go on now to say how we have been feeling with in the energies at the moment. There has been, yes, a lot of solar flares about. There's been a lot of higher frequencies coming into the earth, and make no mistake, make no mistake that this is the time in our human existence. This is the time for it all to happen now. But what we've been feeling, and so we thought we'd share it with you and put it out there because we feel like you may have been feeling the same, is at the moment we've felt tired. We've felt angry, crotchety, however you want to say it. We have felt so worn out. We also are struggling to tolerate people who might be staying in victim mode, who where we can see we can see through the veil of what's happening, and they're completely in the middle of it. But I want to say that's okay. That's their choice as a soul to be, they're in the right place at the moment, at the right, in the right time. It's fine. But we're struggling to tolerate all that. And it's simply been, I'm going to say, with my experience over the last couple of weeks, here we are. We're actually recording this beginning of June. So at the end of May, beginning of June, with, let's say, the solar flares. And I'm saying it like that because when I went in with the guides to ask what was going on, they can say, well, as a human, you need to experience things. So yes, blame it on the solar flares because that's the experience you're having and that's part of it. And then you feel that's okay. It makes you feel different about it. So we'll blame it on the solar flares. Yeah, because at this time, everything's getting into higher frequencies and higher frequencies. And so I personally was feeling very ill last week, feeling nauseous. I've also had some occasional dizzy spells, almost knowing that your body, it felt like the whole of your bodies were integrated. So feeling very lightheaded, vertigo type thing, knowing that it wasn't a physical thing particularly, but it was coming into the physical. So again, obviously this is a medical disclaimer. I
Mm.
know what's going on with me. I can choose whether to go to the doctors or no, it's nothing to do with that. And it got to a stage where I felt, yes, nauseous, and but this is where sometimes this is what I can't tolerate at the minute. It's a weird thing, is where we're saying, oh, let's just honor ourselves and go into peace and go into quietness. And that will be the case for a lot of people. For me, no, I'm bouncing off walls, even though I felt very heavy. By Sunday, I wanted to fall asleep, but but following that, I've now got so much energy in me. I want to be doing things, and so yes, maybe Sunday honoured myself because I couldn't do much else. Every time I tried to do something, it just wasn't working. It was just very heavy. But I feel like saying, whatever you feel that you need to do about something, say you've got an issue about something, I almost feel like saying you do the opposite. So, for instance, I was at work at the salon doing massages last week, felt nauseous, felt ill just after doing a couple of massages. Somebody else wanted another massage. Now, for anybody else, you might say, "Oh, I don't feel very well. I won't do the massage." I knew inside me I needed to do that massage. I needed to help. It was probably to offload, I don't know how you call it, download to somebody else, offload some data, offload some healing to somebody else, because it had all been, all these solar flares, let's call them, it's all bringing in these frequencies, which are bringing in various DNA activations, bringing in various downloads for us to remember who we are, various DNA activations in that way. So I knew I needed to work on this particular person who'd asked for a massage. And yes, did that massage. I did tell them at the beginning, if I do feel ill, if I need to go out, you're okay. No, did the massage, felt absolutely fine. My headache had gone, my nauseous feeling had gone, everything had gone. So you see how you're doing the opposite to what you think, if that makes any sense at all. So you may need to take action on something, and it might not be in the same way. I've talked about this before in the sense of, and again, please don't be triggered by this, but say if somebody can't lose weight and they're continuing to, go on different diets. Now, absolutely, the food we eat is a representation, there is a frequency in food, representation of what we need to have, need to eat fresh food, clean water, etc. But also, this can happen. We can feel sluggish, we can feel bloated, we can, especially in women, I don't know whether it happens in men, but we can feel very bloated and heavy and feel like we're not losing weight when we are not talking to soul or higher self or future self. And when we start to do that and we follow a different path altogether, we forget about what the issue is. We forget about needing fixing that, weight issue or whatever it is. And when we follow the soul's path, it just drops off. Things drop away. So you're actually doing something else. You're taking action on something else, and everything else falls into place. And it's just your body saying, hang on, Julie, you're not going in the right path. Just follow this path instead. And that is what you've got to understand. That's what you've got to work around, and understand that they might be saying it in some cryptic way, like putting it on your body. Another thing is, if weight can be to do with you're holding in all that lovely data, all those downloads, and you're not sharing them, because we've got all those other human traits of, oh, I can't do this at the moment, or, oh, things have happened to me, I need to just hold back. And it might be the opposite. It might need to just move forward. What do you think about this, Rob?
Well, like you, last week was really not a great week. I didn't feel ill, which is great. I did feel short-tempered, impatient, ungrounded. I had lots and lots of work to do, and I just couldn't focus on it. So I kept doing a bit, going away, coming back, doing another bit, and then getting annoyed with myself because I wasn't getting on with it. So you get into a cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I'm aware enough of myself to know that that's not normal for me to be in that kind of existence, and that something's happening. And I couldn't connect to the guides with any
Yeah, I could
real
have.
efficacy. I kept trying, but then thought, I don't really need to right now. What's the point? One of those, it's a very lethargic and very, and I think probably not the nicest person to live with last week. I'm not sure. I do my best. Saturday night, Sunday night, I had an extraordinarily restless night. I felt that I'd slept incredibly well, but apparently I was singing and speaking weird languages and talking all sorts of nonsense. But I woke up feeling incredibly rested, and that's an immediate realization for me that I've been fed overnight, as it were, with all sorts of information. It takes a while to settle. And this morning, so before we connected, I connected to the guys in a second and had a brief and profound experience. And I feel so calm and so grounded and so ready to progress, that it's really wonderful. So I think, oh, this week, wow, bring it on.
Yeah, I'm
Excellent stuff.
feeling good.
Yesterday I worked and worked and worked and worked and worked with real focus, which is brilliant. So last week's ups and downs have given way now to real focus. But I know from whatever was downloaded to me on Sunday night that I need to connect up and just work it through, because I don't feel yet like it's quite settled in me.
Yeah.
It's in there and it's settling, but I need to understand it and go, okay, where do I put these bits of information? And then what do I do with them? Because obviously, as you said just now, I have to share them.
Yes, absolutely.
Why they might be for me at this particular moment, they might be for you or someone else tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, they're not for me to hold on to and keep as a secret.
I feel
So,
like with the world's, all of us, with the world's best kept secret, aren't we? All of us are in this, people like us, I'm going to say. It feels like so much. There's different levels, and we talked about this. We don't like calling things levels, because it feels like we're saying them and us and dividing it.
yeah,
But I think in human terms, there is, I mean, I was looking, at big divisions of things, just going through my head, going through my monkey mind of, why is there still so much division going on? But there's still a division in what we'd probably call the spiritual
yeah,
community as well. And, we're not tolerating now. And this is not just me and Rob, and I'm saying we. I've been talking to a few clients, I've been talking to a few friends who are, I'm going to say, the same kind of level, the same kind of thinking of us. And we're all getting this similar feeling, similar messages that I absolutely feel something, there's like a massive shift with us. So
yeah,
what you might feel at now, and I want to make sure that you're okay with this, you need to be absolutely okay, is that, for instance, if you're a healer, you've been working in business, you might have a few clients that have dropped off. You might have clients aiming saying, "Oh, I'll book in with you," and something happens and they're either ill or they just don't get to see you. And I think, and this has been the same with me, I've had a membership that's had all the foundational work, it's all been done. And I suddenly thought a couple of months ago, I really want to shift this up a level. And as I did, a couple of people who I hadn't, a couple of members just said, it's been fantastic, Julie, thank you for everything, but I don't want to go any further. And it did feel like it just suddenly, it feels, what you could feel like is suddenly collapsing. So you might have clients just dropping off for certain reasons. That is okay. What I feel in the energy, it's because it's, we said this morning, it's to make way. And then there's a lull and there's no clients coming in to speak of, or very few. And that's to give us this time with this, let's call it solar flares, with the new frequencies coming in, all these new downloads and activations that you're all getting. If you're at this certain level, let's say it, you're at this absolute, it's hard to explain because we'll all be at different levels as well. I've just had that in my head. Sorry, I'm working with the guides as well as talking. Sometimes that's difficult because you're trying to interpret it. But even at different levels, there's people starting to wake up to other things as Rob and I are talking to people who are on the same, we're on the same wavelength, let's call it, as us. There's also people going, hang on a minute, what's been happening for the past 15 years? Oh, I think I can understand some more now. And this is why we need to share all this with the planet, as many people as we can. So it's going to be okay. This is why we talk about connecting in with your future self. There's no trying, there's no I'm going to, all you need to do is set an intention to connect with your soul, your higher self, your future self, because you're already them, you're part of them, you're the fractal of them, so you already are them. And just have this wonderful meditation of, what's happening in the future. Oh, everything's okay, which means all we need to do now is live through the experience. That's part of our contracts, all of our different contracts. And so it's okay, definitely, if you're feeling a big lull right now, feeling like something's chaotic, it might even be something in your personal life that feels like it's dropping away. But it's all of this, let's call it the darkness that could be dropping away, all the, shadow work that you've done. More shadows are dropping away, and it has to, for us to embrace the new frequencies. They cannot come in if we're still blocked, up. So yes, there is that also. I've been talking with people, is how much longer do we have to keep doing the shadow work and the inner child, or whatever you want to call it? But that's okay as well. What I also want to say here is, for new earth, people moving to this new earth and not kind of like the new age part of it, is we have to face, let's call it the darkness. We do have to face the dark side, without any fear, because we're at a level as well. The people I've been talking to, we're all at a level now that we don't need to fear it. We're just observing it. It is, when you talk to your future self, it's all been sorted as well. And so we're here just to be the observers of the darkness, and we have to face the darkness in order for it to be dissolved. It's the same as waking up to understand what's going on with, say, the false matrix, just as an example, to understand that, we need to dissolve that. If you don't know about it, so if you keep, I was like this for many years. I was always, I don't want to, I'd learned a little bit about entities and attachments and implants and all sorts of things. And I'm thinking, do I really want to be in this? Oh, no, I think I want to be the therapist. Let's call it with just love and light. And no, the guys had, or my future self had different ideas for me. And they've just shown me things. I've had given you examples in some of the other podcasts, shown me things to understand the discernment, understand not all is as it seems, understand that not all guides look like an angel, look like an archangel. In fact, guides can look like something quite horrific, and they're absolutely fine. Rob's also giving you that those details. So it's okay when you go into meditation and you see certain guides. That's absolutely fine, as and you see guides and they don't look like they are. I've just seen a guide last week whilst I was the only thing I could do was meditate and go to sleep, and I couldn't do much else. I had an experience with a guide called, or a deity, or whatever they are, and I feel it's just her consciousness that came through when it was needed, called Kali Ma, is how I call her, Kali. And when I first saw her, I'm going to say, bless her, didn't look great. Didn't look like the kind of guide that didn't look like the Mary Magdalene, etc. And again, the guides are just showing me this is what they will look like, and you've got to embrace it. So at first, my reaction was to do all the discernment and shine my light, I do a little process just to make sure they're okay, and tried to watch her within a grid, and she just rose above the grid and just said, I'll just sit and wait for you until you're ready to to get through all this. And then we just worked together, and we did some ancestral work, really beautiful ancestral work, and then she disappeared, and now I can't get hold of her if I wanted to. So that is a moment of that it's okay to work with what looks like the dark side. And with Kali Ma, it's same with like Soth and all, a few other guides. They have worked in the dark side as well as the light. Now, if you think about your soul, your higher self, your future self, that will also be, we have been part of the dark side as well as the light as well. A lot of us who are going through this lull at the moment and feeling like we're completely, drained or tired or whatever, we're going through that complete lull to start remembering who we really were, and go through the dark side in order to clear it. Might not even be from this, from Earth, might be from, again, something that we've got to not ignore, not avoid, but look at. And so we may have to go to our, well, you can't even call it past selves. It's we'll say past selves, but knowing that, and when I say future self, it's just a self that's another version of you, another hologram, another part of you, and the future self. It's not one. It's not one future self. You can see different future selves. Just go with it. Just have a look. We've given you all the information on how to connect with guides. It's fascinating. It's so lovely to to do. So yes, there is also that element when you're connecting within is to start thinking, yeah, I do need to think about the darkness, and it's not about rooting around for it. It's just about observing it, and then the guides will know you're ready to look at it in order to help the world dissolve the entities that are around, or help them go to the light, or whatever that might be. You'll be that's what we're shown. We're shown our different modalities. We're all going to get into working with different modalities to work with the higher frequencies. Whew,
Yeah.
I feel like I've talked a lot, Robert. It's been a download. I think it's been a
Yeah,
download
you've
for
needed
me,
to,
so
so I
I've
was happy
needed to
to
get
let you
this out.
get on with it. I think that's
Yeah.
really, really,
Yeah.
really useful and good. In terms of dealing with your soul and your higher self and your future self, please always remember, if you're listening to this, that these are just some of your guides too.
Mm, yeah.
And they are there for you to connect to and talk to and communicate with. And you shouldn't cut yourself off from them because they're really, really close to you. I like to think of my future self as my potential.
Yes.
And I
It is.
hope that as I change in this particular existence, that my future self morphs as well
Oh,
into
yes.
a better future for me. So it's something to strive for all the time, which is really quite exciting. But
It
yeah,
is.
don't feed the fear
Mm.
if you can help it, because the minute you become frightened of something, it becomes bigger. All humanity knows this. Surely it's an ancient way of thinking that you don't feed the fear,
Yes.
because it will grow and grow and grow and eventually swallow you up. It will make it very hard to see the light.
Mm.
And we are beings of light. Our spiritual beings are light, so there is polarity.
Yes. You've
And
got
if
to
there is light,
experience.
there is conversely dark, plus minus.
Yeah.
So we need to find our equilibrium within the light and the dark. And having fear will put you off balance. So keep your balance and listen to yourself. As your day progresses and you feel fear or not fear, or you feel a special lightness or a special love or whatever, just reflect, why am I feeling that? That's really nice. Or how do I deflect that? And why am I feeling that? Just be aware. And the more aware you are, the easier it is for the guides to talk to you, because they go, you're getting the message, I can give you more message. So it's just working with them. You don't have to be in some kind of meditist state with candles burning and waiting for the guides to pop down through a cloud. Just be aware of them, because they're there all the time. If you want them, they're there. So let them in and reflect on what they're telling you, and they'll help you grow that way. That's me done.
I think that's lovely. It's a lovely end to that. Do you know what, Rob? I'm going to say it on live. Is that it feels like it's the first part of two. There's
Yeah.
so much else that we need to get. I think we'll do a part two of this
All
and
right.
do it more technical.
Fair
So
enough.
that's that's enough for today, I think, to give you food for thought. So we will make a wrap there, and we will see you next week.
Bye
Bye
bye.
for now.